Good morning, everyone. Well, my COVID's all gone. I've about lost the cough, so I'm actually doing pretty good. So listen, this is something that I found out, and I thought it's pretty screwy, and I wanted to tell you guys about it. So my dryer went out, and it's, I went to transfer a load of clothes from the washer to the dryer, hit the button and nothing. And I got out my voltmeter, checked it all out, couldn't figure out what was wrong. And it was like 7 years old, so I'm not going to spend any money on a repairman. So I just took it out and I went over to Home Depot to buy a new dryer. And I get in there and they've got tons. They must have had 25 sets of washers and dryers. And I found one, I go, yeah, I'll take that one. Well, come to find out, you can't buy one and take it home. They don't do that anymore. All they have is the 4 display models, and you have to buy one and pay an extra $89 and they'll deliver it a week from Friday. So I went, no, I want one right now. She goes, well, you can't buy one right now. We don't sell them out of the store. I went, fine. So I went to an independent appliance store, which is not too far away. Went in there, they must have had 100 sets on display. Same thing. You couldn't buy one and put it in your truck or trailer and take it home. You had to buy it, and I think they charged $50 to have it delivered to your house the following Friday. I mean, I couldn't find any place that would sell me a dryer that I could take home. So I finally went to Lowe's, because Lowe's only charged, I think, $29, and then they'll haul the old one off, and they delivered it the very next day. So that's what I had to do. Man, I'll tell you what, I prefer the old days when you could just go down to Sears, see the one you want, say, yeah, put it in my truck, and buy it and take it home. But that's not the world we live in now. They want everybody to buy it online and have it sent to your home. I don't like that. I'm too old for that. But anyway, listen. A lot of people, I see people all the time and I talk to people, and people believe that God cannot read your thoughts. There are actually people that believe that God cannot read your thoughts. And the way to prove that is, if you can sit there and just think back to high school or whatever, and all of a sudden just ponder some things you did, and pretty soon something will come into your mind where you were sitting with somebody on a bench and you had a conversation, and you can recall that conversation. And you hadn't thought about that since the day it took place 40, 50 years ago. That right there tells you that every single thing that has ever happened to you, every idle word, everything you've seen, everything is all recorded. And people, that's the way God made it. Your whole life is all recorded, and one day God's going to hit playback, and of course he reads your thoughts. He created you. And that's, excuse me, a little bit of COVID cough still. But that's what I wanted to talk to you about. So listen. Colossians 3:1 says, if ye then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sits on the right hand of God. So we're to seek those things which are above, and that includes our thought life. Your thought life is not your own. God is listening. Verse 5 goes on to say, mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth. Fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, that means evil desire, and covetousness, which is adultery. So guys, listen. We are constantly bombarded with thoughts that come into our mind from the demonic host. You don't think those things up. Have you ever just been sitting there and went, God, what a sick thought. Where did that come from? Well, it comes from the demonic host. They are constantly injecting thoughts into your head. Constantly. Well, listen. They do that hoping that you will start thinking about that and ponder it and run off into some fantasy, and then they put in the original thought, and when you run with it, it becomes your own. And that's sin. And God wants us not to do that. Colossians 3 goes on to say, but now you must put off these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communications out of your mouth. Guys, listen. The demonic host put those thoughts into your head, and a lot of times when you run with them, you start to get agitated. You start to get mad. What they want to do is they want to rob you of your peace. Thoughts always lead to actions. Colossians 3:9 and 10 goes on to say, lie not one to another, seeing ye have put off the old man with his deeds, and have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. People, listen. We have to learn to monitor our thoughts. When the thoughts come in, we have to learn to say, okay, that one, I reject that as evil. I reject those thoughts as evil. There's a difference between your own thoughts and the thoughts that are injected by the demonic host. And you need to learn to distinguish between the two. Paul goes on in Colossians 3:12 to 15. He says, put on therefore as elect of God, holy and beloved, bowels of mercy, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long-suffering, forbearing one another and forgiving one another. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgave you, so do ye. And above all these things put on charity, which is the bond of perfectness. And let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to the which ye are also called in one body, and be ye thankful. People, the demonic host, they inject thoughts into your head, hoping that you'll run with them. And the reason they do that is they want to breed hostility in you. They want to rob you of your peace. They want to get you agitated where you'll lash out at other people. People, listen. It's only going to get worse. As time starts to run out, demonic influence is just by leaps and bounds getting worse and worse all the time. And they're going to keep, this is never going to go away. The demonic host putting thoughts into your head is never going to go away, and you need to learn to recognize them. You need to learn to say, hey, that's not me. I reject that thought as evil. When something sexual comes into your mind, say, Lord, I reject that thought as evil. If you do that, if you learn to reject the thoughts that the demonic host is putting in your mind, it will bring about total peace in your life. Their goal is to rob you of your peace. If you will learn to reject those thoughts, your peace will return to you. Paul tells us in verse 12 to 14 that you can have victory. You need to choose what you think about. Choose what you think about. And verse 15 tells us that by doing this, it allows God's peace to reign in your heart. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. You guys all have a blessed week. And just remember, heaven or hell, you choose. And once you take your last breath, it's a done deal.